Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm doing a book tag and it is the Halloween is my Christmas tag. This was created by Gloria over at Gloria McNeely Writer. Definitely go check out her channel if you aren't already subscribed. And she recently created this tag, so I definitely wanted to jump on it and give it a go. I definitely prefer Halloween to Christmas. I just love autumn time, and Halloween and the whole run up to Halloween is just like an extra spooky time of year. I just love the atmosphere. I do like Christmas as well, but I think definitely over the years as I've got older I generally try not to buy into the crazy Christmas hype. Like, there's no need to be putting up decorations and playing Christmas songs in November, if you ask me. Like, December 1st onward, okay, you can get away with that, but any earlier, it's a no from me. Anyway, I digress. On to the questions of the tag. There are 10 questions. Question 1 is a book to read to get you in the festive mood, and I decided to go with a Halloween option and a Christmas option for this question. So the Halloween option is October Dreams, a celebration of Halloween, so a fairly obvious choice, but I recently finished this in October. It's one that I've been taking my time with and reading over a few Octobers, but it really is a fantastic collection. There's a ton of great stories in here, and it's also interspersed with Halloween memories from a bunch of the authors as well, which is a really cool idea. Yeah, it's just a really wonderful book and one that I definitely will return to in future Octobers. And the Christmas one is The 12 Frights of Christmas. This is another anthology, a Christmas related one obviously, and I read this last December and really enjoyed it. There were definitely a few that I didn't think were amazing, if I'm honest, but there are some really great ones in here. And funnily enough, if I am remembering correctly, this one, I think one of my favourites in this collection was The Chimney by Ramsey Campbell. That one has stayed with me since last December. And then in October Dreams, funnily enough, one of my favourites was the Ramsey Campbell story in here. It was called The Trick, I think. Sorry, I'm gonna check. Yes, The Trick. And that one, even though I only read it recently, has also stayed with me. There's like some visuals ingrained in my brain that I may never forget. So thank you, Mr. Campbell, for that. But yeah, both of these books are really good and I would definitely recommend them to get you in one or the other kind of festive mood. Question 2. Holiday Indulgence. Not critically acclaimed, but one you always enjoy anyway. And it's got to be the point horror books. You know, they're not winning any awards, I don't think, but they have won my love over the years. They were one of the things that got me into reading and got me into horror as a wee young thing. I loved these books when I was a kid, and I still love them today. They had such an impact on me at a younger age, and yeah, just that nostalgia and that connection that I have with them is really strong. In recent years I completed my collection and have been rereading them, and some I'm reading for the first time because I didn't have them back in the day, and it's just been thoroughly enjoyable. Like, even the ones that aren't good are still enjoyable in some way because I'm getting that nostalgic feeling from the experience. So yeah, not critically acclaimed, but definitely books I thoroughly love. Question 3. Last minute shopping. A fail-safe book to give any horror lover. And I think in Gloria's video she chose Paperbacks from Hell for this question, which is an excellent choice, but I wanted to pick something else rather than repeat the same one, so instead I chose Monster, She Wrote, which is by Lisa Kroger and Melanie R. Anderson, and this is a non-fiction book all about female horror and speculative fiction writers over the decades. It's a really well put together book. There are tons of authors mentioned in here, a bunch of specific books and stories that are recommended. And also, if we're talking Christmas presents, this would be a really lovely gift to receive. It's a really nice hardback book and it's full of illustrations. It is published by Quirk, and yeah, they always do a really good job in the books that they produce, so I think this would make a really nice gift for a horror lover. Question 4. The meaning of a book that has scares and a hopeful ending. And I actually don't have an answer for this one. I really struggled with finding a book that fit. I think a lot of the horror books I read do not have hopeful endings, which is just how I like it. The bleaker, the better, quite honestly. But there are definitely some that have more of a happy or at least hopeful ending. But the ones that I could think of, it did feel a little spoilery to say that, so I thought I would just, yeah, kind of skip this question. Unfortunately, I am sure there are some great answers, but I was totally blanking on a good answer for this. Question 5. The difficult one to buy for. A book for someone who has read it all. And I decided to go with an anthology. This is The New Flesh, which is a tribute to horror master David Cronenberg. And this is a book by Weird Punk Books, who are a small indie publisher. So I think this fits the bill for someone who has maybe read it all, because this is a smaller press, so they might not have heard of this book, and there are a bunch of lesser known authors in here. So again, someone who's read it all might not have actually read these authors, and it's a really excellent collection. This is one of my favourite books of the year, so I think this would be a good choice for someone who has supposedly read it all. Question 6. Tradition. A book that you keep coming back to. And honestly, there aren't a ton of books that I have reread, and yeah, point horror books aside, there are a few, but they're not horror, and I wanted to keep these answers horror centric. So there are definitely some books that I have loved and I keep thinking of rereading, but I'm just really terrible at rereading books apparently. I'm always like, I would rather read something new to me than revisit something I know I loved. But there are a good handful of books that do fit that category, so one of these days I really should make the effort and reread them. And one of those books is Lost Souls by Poppy Z. Brite. This was one that came out in the 1990s, and I was going through a huge vampire phase as a teenager, and this was one that I picked up that was really very different to like Dracula and some of the other more classic vampire stuff that I was reading, and I loved it, but I have not read it since, and it's been quite a while since I was a teenager, so this is one that I really should pick up again, and I really do look forward to revisiting it sometime. Question 7. Fun for all the family. A book either about a family or that can be enjoyed by both young and old. And I went with a book that fits the first option there, the book that is about a family, and I chose The Elementals by Michael McDowell. This is about two families, in fact, and after a death in one of the families, they all go to their like holiday homes, which are located on a beach area, and there are 3 houses and they own 2 of them. The third house is empty and has been filling with sand over the years. And yeah, these 2 families spend some time here and creepy stuff happens. It's an excellent novel. I think this was my first Michael McDowell, and yeah, was the book that made me read more of his work. He writes really excellent characters, and from what I remember, you get to hear from multiple perspectives throughout this novel rather than just following one main character. So I really like that, and yeah, you definitely get the sense of family here and the fact that they're all part of something. So highly recommend this one if you haven't read it. Question 8. Baby, It's Cold Outside. A book that's set in the snow. And this was one I had a hard time finding an answer for. I'm sure there are plenty of books that are set in the snow, but they weren't very obvious, and apparently my memory is terrible, so I had a hard time like remembering a book that was definitely set in the snow. Anyway, I found one, and it's one that I haven't actually read yet. This is Dark Matter by Michelle Paver. And all I really know about this one is that it is a ghost story and that it's set in the Antarctic. So definitely seems like a snowy setting, and yeah, I think this is one I should probably pick up over the next few months during the winter season. Question 9. Decorations. A book with a great seasonal cover. And for this I decided to pick one for Halloween and one for Christmas as well. For Halloween, it's got to be Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick. This is probably one of my favourite all-time covers. It's just so perfect and spooky and wonderful, and yeah, screams Halloween. And then for Christmas, it has to be Black Christmas by Thomas Altman. This is more the thriller end of horror, and it's set in a small town where people are getting picked off and the local sheriff is trying to investigate what's going on and prevent any further murders from happening. Now that I'm thinking about it, this would also fit for the snowy read. See, my memory's terrible. But yeah, this was a really good one. I really enjoyed it. Perfect for the Christmas season. And yeah, it's not related to the film Black Christmas. Someone's bound to ask. Someone always asks, but it's not anything to do with it. And question 10. On my list, a book you hope to get as a gift. And there are so many books on my list, so to choose just one, yeah, I don't know if I have just one that stands above all of the rest, but if we're talking about something to get as a gift, and I'm thinking in, wishful thinking here, in that someone is feeling very generous and really wants to spoil me with a really awesome gift. So I would love the series of Dark Forces books. This was a series of books that came out in the 1980s. I believe there are 15 of them in total, and obviously they look amazing. The covers really are, yeah, my cup of tea all over. But I also just really want to read these books. I'm so intrigued by them and so curious about them, and there aren't many reviews on Goodreads, and I haven't heard anyone here on BookTube talking about them. So one day I would love to get my hands on these, but yeah, they can get pretty pricey. Plus, even if they were only, let's say, $10 a pop, there are 15 of them, that's like $150 right there, which is, yeah, not the kind of money that I have to spend willy-nilly, unfortunately. But yeah, if we're talking a gift from Father Christmas or Santa Claus, whatever, then thanks Santa, I would appreciate it. So those were all of the questions. This is a really fun tag. Thank you to Gloria for creating it, and I am going to tag a few people. I am going to tag Mers at Harpies in the Trees, Marie at Marie McWilliams, Demi at The Weird Collection, and Janine at Janine Horror Writer. So no pressure, but I would love to hear your answers. So yeah, I'll leave all of the information in the description below. And anyone else who would like to do the tag, consider yourself tagged, you know the drill. And I will leave everyone who I've mentioned in this video, I will leave links to their channels in the description, so if for any reason you aren't already subscribed to them, then please do go check them out because they're all awesome. So that was the tag. Let me know if you've read any of these books. I would love to hear your thoughts, and tell me if you are a big Christmas fan or if you prefer Halloween. I am glad I had the opportunity to bust out my Halloween jumper before the year is out. I did wear it a couple of times in October, but it's nice to get one more wear out of it.